Hello, I'm Allison Werder, the CMO and Assistant Dean at Eisenberg, and I'm here to welcome you to the Dean's Lunchtime Chat, the first one of this new year. I'm happy to say we have our largest group ever for this chat, so thanks for joining us, and we're so excited to see the level of engagement off to this new year. So today, Dean Massey is going to give us some updates as we head into this new semester. And we're going to hear from our head of career services, Holly Lawrence, on how the career market is looking. And then we're going to hear from our associate dean of graduate programs, Tracy Hess, on a new interactive platform that we've launched this year. But before we get into it, I want to just go over a couple logistical issues to get us started. First of all, today's webinar will be recorded so we can share it at a later date. By joining us today, you are consenting to be recorded. Secondly, located at the bottom of your toolbar, there is a Q&A function. That will be active during this webinar, and we encourage you, if you have questions as we go through it, to submit them down below. I'll be moderating this, and I will either bubble them up to presenters, try and address them in the chat, or we have gotten questions in advance, which we will work into the presentation as we go. And hopefully, if we have time at the end, we will also answer additional questions that are brought up during the Q&A. Please note that participants' microphones and cameras are disabled. We are a really large crew for this conversation, but again, I really encourage you to use the Q&A function to interact with us during this session. So we hope to answer as many questions as possible today, and we hope you really enjoy this conversation. So I'm going to turn it over now to Dean Ann Massey to get us started.
Thanks, Allison, and welcome everyone this afternoon. We had an amazing number of registrants, parents, alumni, and friends of Eisenberg. So we're really happy to be able to do this and spend the next hour with you. I know everyone has a busy schedule, and it's nice trying to get this done during the middle of many of you, the middle of your work day. We are off to an exciting new year, and I just do a little shout out to the men's basketball team that won last night, beat Richmond in an Atlantic 10 game. That was a very fun game, if any of you had a chance to see it. But we're going to be very excited to have the students back on campus. As you know, we've had a long break, although many students are taking a course during this winter session. So many have been busy doing that. Some of them have been doing internships and traveling. We've got some questions later about international travel, and we've had many students doing that as well. So we've got a lot of things going on, and the students will be back on campus and back in Amherst in about a week and a half, and we're very much looking forward to that. If you haven't received it, I know many of you alumni received the Dean's annual report. That is available in print and also on our website. And I'll talk a little bit later today about our new strategic plan, Roadmap 2027. So there's a lot of exciting things going on in Eisenberg. But today we're really focused on following up on some things that I've talked to you in the past couple of years about, and that is our priority and our investments that we're making in the areas of enabling academic and career success for our students. And I think that's a keen interest area, certainly for students, but also their parents, their families, and our alumni, many of whom assist in those processes. And in that regard, I do need to give a shout out to many of our alumni and donors and friends who have given generously and allow us to do some things that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do. Holly Lawrence, our assistant dean for the Office of Career Success, for example, will touch on our peer career program, which are undergraduate students that work with students first stage, and we've received support from alumni to fund that program. Beth Gamble, one of our alumni, most recently generously gave $100,000 towards that program. So Beth, if you're in with us today, thank you. And to all the other alumni, donors, and friends who support us. So let me I'm going to stop there because I know everyone wants to get to hear about how the job market is, what's going on with careers, and then we'll be turning a little bit later to our associate dean for graduate programs to talk about another investment. As I mentioned, we've made two investments, two technology investments. One is in iConnect. We've talked about that before. Holly's talked about that before. She'll touch on it again today. And we'll talk about a second investment we're making with regard to students' careers in academics. So without further ado, Holly Lawrence, our assistant dean for our Office of Career Success, I'm going to turn it over to Holly and give us some updates. I think the news is looking pretty good from what I hear. Thank you, Holly.
Yes, thank you, Dean Massey. It's all looking really good. As you know, we had a number of questions come in advance about the job market and how our students are faring, both in terms of full-time positions and internships. So I thought I would show you a little about last year, as well as what we see as positive prospects for the coming year. So I am going to share my screen. Hope you can see my slides, and you can see right up front, salaries are up. So this is great news. We have gotten the data in from our class of 2022. We just concluded our collection of first destination data from that class of graduates. And you can see that we had a jump in starting salaries with an average of $67,399 and a median starting salary of $65,600. So both are up significantly from 2021. So that looks great. Probably not surprisingly, our highest average salary is from finance majors with $75,746. But the bottom line is these results tell us that jobs are out there and all our students are getting good offers. So I mentioned that we have just collected this data, and we take about 6 months, and that's in keeping with what the standard is in the accreditation world and with other professional organizations, that we look at 6 months after graduation where our students have landed. So 95% of the undergrads seeking full-time employment accepted a job within 6 months of graduation. And so that also tells us that the huge majority of our students are seeking full-time employment when they graduate. Some, though, do go on to grad school. We saw that 13% did go to graduate school. That's actually down from 2021, where we had about 15% go to graduate school. So that's in keeping with national trends. So during the pandemic, we saw an increase in graduate school applications nationwide, and we in Eisenberg experienced that as well. Now more of our graduates are feeling like things are more back to normal and are comfortable getting into a full-time position right after graduation. Still, though, we see that 42% of our accounting majors chose graduate school, and that's in keeping with what they've done in the recent past. Many of them, as you'll hear from Associate Dean Tracy Hess later, go on for the one-year specialized master's, the Master of Science in Accounting. And that's an opportunity for students to easily achieve 150 credit hours they need for the CPA exam, as well as earn an advanced degree. So it can be a win-win for many of our accounting majors. In the world of internships, well, they're happening. So in the spring 22, we surveyed students in our junior year writing class, management communication, and we were able to collect 480 responses, which is excellent response rate. And of those surveyed, we saw that over 50% of our students reported having at least one internship, and 48% of students reported multiple internships or some other field experience. So those are great stats, and we're going to be surveying again this spring in the same junior writing class. And we like doing it then because we can catch a bunch of juniors and they can reflect experience that they've had in previous summers or maybe winters, depending on what their work has been, as well as what they have planned for the upcoming summer before their senior year, which is really the most popular time for students to get internships. And I know there was a question about that. So that is really when we see the largest number of internships occur, but they can happen in previous years as well, and we support all those opportunities. In fact, here I've mentioned other field experience, and I just wanted to let you know what I meant by that. So some of the opportunities students have in additional to a traditional internship would be working with employers in what's called an externship. And that's usually a short-term experience with an employer. Most are designed to expose students to an industry or company, and they can be as short as a single day, or they could last a few weeks. We also have a number of micro internships, which are also short-term, but they're usually project-based opportunities with an employer. So both are excellent ways for students to learn more about an industry, function, role, or an organization. So you can see here that our students are definitely taking advantage of those opportunities. People asked about the internships in terms of pay or credit. The large majority of our students report being paid. That is typical, with the highest hourly coming in at 50. That's not so typical, but the average was 23 across all the majors. And we did see that 12% of students reported earning course credit. And you can earn course credit instead of being paid, or you can do both. We have opportunities that allow for either or both. All right, a little bit about who's hiring our students. So our employer partners on screen, we're our top 10 employers. TJX has been a favored employer partner for years, but now was our top #1 hiring company this past 2022. This was exciting to see because I think it reflects the increase in internship and job opportunities the company offers all of our students. They hire a range of majors, in fact, and this past year for the full-time offers, mostly they went to marketing, finance, and OIM majors. It's also worth noting that in the top 10, you see the public accounting firms that employ many of our students, and they don't only hire accounting majors. Many of our students from all majors go to the large public accounting firms, obviously, or they wouldn't be in the top 10, and they hire for a variety of jobs: financial services, consulting, data analytics. I wanted to give a little brief spotlight here, if you will, on hospitality and tourism management, as well as sport management majors. You can see their top employers on screen, and the top 2 were Oracle and Marriott. So while seeing Marriott and, say, Monumental Sports and Entertainment here may not surprise you, you may not have expected to see Oracle and Fidelity on this screen about HTM and sport majors, but they are. And I wanted to share this data point because it illustrates an important reality. And that is that our employer partners truly do hire across all our majors. And a company like Marriott needs marketing and accounting majors, as well as perhaps the more obvious HTM majors. So I feel very lucky that we have such valuable relationships with our employers and have such talented students who can work with them. So I'm going to stop sharing now. And I wanted to just go over some of the things that people asked in the early questions about the market. So, let me just start off with the job market for business students is very, very positive. I know there's been a lot in the news about layoffs, and we've heard mostly about layoffs at big companies like Google, Microsoft, Wayfair, and those are tech companies. So we're not seeing the significant layoffs or disruption around corporate enterprise in general. So the tech firms that I'm not so worried about are desiring a high level of tech proficiency, but the vast majority of corporate entities are really seeking tech-capable talent, not necessarily tech experts. They're seeking students who have tech awareness and capability, who are digital natives, who are exposed to and not afraid of software. They can run analytics, they can interact with clients and manage projects. And that's our Eisenberg students. So what we're seeing is that students who have the B-School curriculum advantages are in high demand with companies and organizations today. So I'd also like to add a bit of anecdotal evidence regarding my take on the market, and that is, right after Wayfair's layoffs broke in the news, our campus recruiter emailed to say that they were full steam ahead with their hiring plan. That email was especially meaningful to me for 2 reasons. One, I think it does illustrate how strong our relationships are with our employer partners. And 2, I think it confirms that our students are in demand for full-time jobs, internships, and co-ops. So that's all good. I want to share my screen again because I think it's an easy way to answer some other questions that we received. So I will jump off this image to show you iConnect. So Dean Massey mentioned iConnect, and I've demoed it before in Dean's chats, but we've made some revisions, and I wanted you to be able to see those as well as answer some questions for new folks so they can know where the resources and opportunities are that they were asking about. So we've changed our navigation for one thing, and we now have this new easy way for undergrads and grad students to jump in right away and find their majors and programs. And before I do a quick tour of what you can find there, I just wanted to point to the list of upcoming events that is regularly updated here. And you can see this on the home page. So there were some questions about the events and whether recruiters were coming to campus and things like that. So here we are on the homepage with all the events. To see more, in addition to this featured selection, and they're here based on a calendar. So we see obviously January 1st, and these are going to be virtual because we're not back in session yet. So if I click see all events, I happen to know that to get to ones that are going to be on campus, I need to go to about page 3 or 4 because our semester doesn't begin until the 6th. So recruiters are going to start showing up on campus around the 8th, and they're going to be tabling in the hub. And you can see the accounting partners who are coming for some, and they are actually hiring for internships in the summer of 2024. And they're looking to talk to younger students and others. And so they have a lot that are coming up, but we have many others as well. So that has to do with some of the events and recruiter activity on campus. They'll also be around, those recruiters, for our campus career blast, which is happening 2 days later in February. Our HTM career fair is coming up in March. And then our Eisenberg Career Day is in September. We have 2 days dedicated to that. And they're all on campus. So a lot is really back to normal, if you will. But we do still have some virtual events. So we have a good variety for our students. So back to the main nav. I thought that it might be worth my popping in, and I'm going to go into the finance page. They're our largest major, so why not? And you'll see that we have the upcoming events again, but now it's curated. So everything on the undergrad and grad pages for majors, industries, programs, they're curated for the population they're trying to reach. So in this case, we see a lot of the upcoming events that would be relevant for finance majors. We also have a curated selection of jobs and internships, and we have a curated set of opportunities to learn more about careers in the industry, so in the finance industry, and also ways for students to gain industry skills and experience. I wanted to show you this because this is new, and this is a great new opportunity we have with a company called Forage. They have partnered with mostly Fortune 500 companies, and they have developed a program where you can have a 5 to 6 hour virtual work experience with one of these companies. It's free, and it's an opportunity for students to sort of skill up, to attain new knowledge or dig deeper into a skill. And if they do well through the experience, they can report it to the company, and it might lead to something more like an interview. It's also something they can certainly put on their resume, as well as develop more valuable knowledge. So we have on our main nav as well, identity communities. And again, we have some curated content for the communities that are listed in this dropdown. We have our guides and how-tos. We've organized this around the topics that are most important to our students, and resumes is what we hear a lot about. So we have a couple of different ways for students to get resume resources. We have both third-party content that we subscribe to that is regularly updated and really good stuff. And we also have things that are proprietary that we make ourselves. I think I've shown you our resume guide in the past. but we are in the middle of revising that resume guide. And I wanted to mention that to you because the way we are revising it is we've created a series of interviews with our recruiters, and we're asking for their feedback about our current resume, as well as getting information from them about what they're looking for on a resume or in a job application package. And it's been a really valuable experience to get that feedback and insight. We're learning things that we will both put into our guides as well as take into classes that have career content, and certainly into our coaching sessions. So speaking of coaching, people were asking about that. So students can find our coaching services through this drop-down menu. There's also make an appointment button up to the right. But in the drop-down, you can find that there's career coaching for undergrads, and there's also executive coaching for our graduate students. And then, as Dean Massey mentioned, our career peer program. I wanted just to show you this and thank Beth again for supporting this, along with some other of our alumni who have supported our many efforts in the career space. So our career peer program for undergraduates is something we're really proud of. So our career peers are trained by our professional staff, and they are usually juniors and seniors, and they span a variety of majors. And they work mostly with our younger students who are in our first year seminar or our sophomore level career and professional development class. And they just do a wonderful job, not only helping with career toolkit pieces like resumes or elevator pitches, they also can share their experiences and help students think about a career path and explore different options. So they're just a wonderful value, and we are so proud to have them. And each picture is here. You could go on iConnect and you can see who they are as well. And when you click on one of the images, you'll get a little bio, and they talk about where they like to eat on campus and favorite spots on campus, among other things. So last on our main nav, we have our jobs and internships. And again, you could find them in different ways. So I showed you the finance page, and there would be featured jobs and internships there. Or students can come through this drop-down list. And so you can find the ones that we featured, meaning that we have our cultivated list, and our directors of undergraduate career services and graduate career services use our large campus database that is something our recruiters have access to and is really sort of a national database, Handshake. And what they do, our directors, is they go into the Handshake jobs and then they approve what should be coming in for Eisenberg students. And so we create this featured cultivated list, as I said, by major or program. And so what that is it gives students a sense of, hey, this is really here for me as a management major or as an MSBA student, but that's just the tip of the iceberg, actually. As I say, they're featured. So then they can go in and they can click on all Handshake jobs and internships and find even more. And our students set up profiles in Handshake so that the Handshake feed will give them jobs and do searches for them and internships that are appropriate with the profiles that students have set. So I think those are the main things on iConnect. So I will stop sharing again, but I did, if you don't mind, Anne, just want to have one closing remark. I hope I haven't taken too much time, but I just wanted to say that what we do is we have sort of an ethos that we like to spread to our students starting in the first and second year, and it's really to conduct career exploration. And we encourage students to meet with our recruiters, to meet with our career peers, to meet with our advisors, and really understand what the opportunities are for them out there. And to explore, do small steps to learn more about a major or career path, and then do the bigger ones with the internships and ultimately the job offers that make them happy and that let them fulfill who they are and what they want to be. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Anne, and then to Tracy with I Succeed, which is where our events can get tracked.
Holly, thank you so much. I'm really pleased the job and internship market is looking good. And for parents out there, I hope Holly's little tour of iConnect, I hope you enjoyed that. There is so much there and available for students to support them both in terms of developing their resumes, their interview skills, everything. We work with them over 4 years and beyond, and the graduate students as well. It really, we've got it there. Now the students, as Holly pointed out, they've got to sign up, they've got to go to iConnect, they've got to do their part in terms of exploration, as Holly said, explore, talk with other students, talk with coaches, and so on. So we're putting it in front of them. And this iConnect has been a huge investment in our investment in the Office of Career Success, and the folks that work in there do a wonderful job. So again, thank you. All right, letting me turn to a new investment that we're making that is related, and that is our investment in iSucceed. iSucceed is we've branded it as iSucceed. It is based on an underlying platform from a company called Suitable. It's being used by other business schools and universities as well. And it's really a platform that we're using to try to engage students in a number of different activities that are being offered to them, whether it's certificates, badges, whatever. And I'm going to turn it over to Tracy because she's been leading the charge in terms of kind of rolling it out and testing it this fall. And I'll let her talk a little bit more about this. I'm very excited about this. So Tracy Hess, our Associate Dean for Graduate Programs, and the Bethune Professor in Information Systems. So she was ripe for doing this with IT. So thank you, Tracy.
Great. Thank you, Anne. And thank you, Holly, for the great overview of our Office of Career Success activities. So I'm going to share a little bit today about Eisenberg's iSucceed, which we rolled out in the fall and piloted with some freshman students and also with our MS and Business Analytics students. And specifically, here's a little overview of the app itself and what we hope students will gain from it. So it's really a student engagement tool, and it's designed to reach out to students on their phones, which can often be their primary computing device. So the phones are actually designed, the app is designed so that students will get notified, they'll get alerted to important activities. It's really a solution for email overload, busy schedules, and to reach them in the device that's often in their hands. It's very easy to use. Students can actually scan a QR code, as you can see in the little image there on the left. And then they download the app. There's secure sign-on so that they use their university net ID to log on. Everything's authenticated. And then they have access to the wealth of resources right now, career and professional development activities that Holly and her crew have made available to our students. So a little more detail on how it works. So iSucceed takes a lot of the activities that are currently in iConnect. So that could be career presentations, workshops, speakers, and so forth, and it delivers that content straight to their phones. So they can actually see, as you can see in the little screenshots, they can see that there's an event coming up with the Career Peer Spring semester schedule, and they can sign up for that. They can earn points for that. They can earn credit by actually scanning their QR codes, say at a workshop they're attending, or they could actually report their own experience. They could take a picture of themselves meeting with, say, an Oracle representative or a Fidelity representative at a company information session. And then they receive credit for that in the iSucceed app. And that credit can allow them to basically earn a badge at the undergraduate level or a badge in a graduate degree, and also win prizes as a result of their participation. Another really big feature of iSucceed is that the push alerts. So the push alerts allow us to help remind students of important activities and allow them to actually acknowledge that they're going to attend all right through their phone. So here's an example of the iSucceed badge for the MS and Business Analytics degree. And so what we've done here is we've organize career and professional development activities into 4 categories: coaching and advising, networking and talks, career workshops, and self-reported activities. And so students need to participate in activities in all of those categories. And that includes meeting individually with their career coach or a career advisor, actually going out, putting themselves out there, talking with a company representative, or even updating their resume, working on a LinkedIn profile. They receive credit for all of those activities through iSucceed. And when they complete activities in each of these categories, they earn the badge, and then they can add a resume line item saying that they have achieved the iSucceed Career and Professional Development Program badge. And that actually shows not just to them and to us that they have completed a series of career and professional activities, but they can show that to companies that they're interviewing with, that they're ready for the job market, and that they've achieved a high level of professional development. So kind of looking back to Holly's presentation and how iSucceed integrates with our overall Office of Career Success Support. So we have our career coaching meeting with our individual coaches and our peer mentors. And then we have iConnect, which is a wonderful portal, a wealth of information for our students. And then iSucceed, which is the basically the app, the student-centric app that resides on their phone, brings it all directly to the student, right where they spend a lot of their time, right, with their phone, to help make sure that they don't miss time-sensitive career activities and that they can put their best foot forward for those career opportunities. Thank you.
Tracy, can you share with us any initial feedback? I know it's early, but any initial feedback from students as we kind of roll this out?
Well, yes, we've had some wonderfully positive responses from the students, some real overachievers that have, scored more points than we can even begin to track. So they are engaged, right, which was the goal. And for now, we've started off with career and professional development activities, but we hope to move that on to student clubs, to community outreach, so we can use iSucceed beyond career and professional development.
That's wonderful. That's very good. And as everyone knows, the phone is a very important part of their lives. So this is a good platform to deliver it. So wonderful. And Tracy's going to join us again in a little bit. There were some questions about the +1 program, so we'll come back to Tracy. But I'm going to take a few questions here that we got in advance of this session. And as you can see, we've been making a lot of investments, human resources, technical resources, and the like, to support our students in their career development and their academic development, from iConnect to iSucceed. You may recall we've been investing also in Eisenberg digital assets. So Holly has some of those on iConnect to support first round of understanding how to develop your resume or interviewing skills. We also have, obviously, the career peers, the students there. And we also use for first round advising, which is some of the questions that I'm going to try to address here. We also have students, juniors and seniors, helping the younger students, first year students, with advising as well. But let me turn to some of these questions and see if I can answer them for you. The first set of questions does deal with advising, and in particular, undergraduate advising. I'd like to hear about Eisenberg advising, the question asks. Many students seem to have a difficult time connecting with an advisor that is not a student. And so what I would share with you here, and I think, again, this is parents encouraging their student to get a little bit ahead of the game. We usually end up problems in accessing an advisor when a student attempts to do so at the 11th hour, which none of us may be particularly surprised about. But students can meet with an advisor, not a student advisor, by simply making an appointment via the Navigate system, which they're familiarized with in their first year in Eisenberg. We do have first year students meet with the peer advisors because they don't really have the same complexity of challenges as some of the upperclassmen may have. But if they do need an appointment, again, they can do it through Navigate. The most difficult time for getting appointments is during course registration period, and the university handles it in a very methodical process of who needs to register first and works through that. And so that kind of syncs up with our advising. But what we strongly encourage all students to do is to get an appointment early and not to wait to the last minute, because that does create, as you might imagine, some significant problems. So again, as we said, the iConnect and advising the Navigate system to take advantage of resources and scheduling as quickly as possible. The second question deals with getting off the wait list for course registration. And I will say we manage our wait list and pay attention to the wait list very closely and carefully. If a student needs a class to graduate, for example, an upperclassman, they're going to get in. We've never had a student not be able to graduate because they couldn't get into a required course that they needed. And so it's graduating senior, for example, we would make sure that they got off a wait list. And as I said, the key to this is proper planning with an advisor. Working with an advisor through your undergraduate program to make sure a student is on track is one of the best things that they can do, and not waiting to the last minute. There was a question in the Q&A earlier about, how many credits should a student take? Typically, on average, a student will take 15 credits a semester to graduate with 120 credits over 4 years. We are seeing more students now taking a course during the winter term, so that either lessens their load during the fall or spring semester, or they're making up a course, or they may, in some cases, be getting ahead of the game with regard to the number of credits. And a question was asked about what are we doing to improve the process of advising to our Eisenberg students. Again, as I mentioned earlier, our biggest problem is during course registration. That's the heaviest demand. Otherwise, advisors are typically available, and we do have the peer advisors as well. But I do want you to know that we have just recently hired 2 new advisors that we've added to our team. And we're also looking at restructuring the office so that we can provide additional support. And we're in the process, our budgetary process right now, looking to see what additional human resource needs that we can add and that we should add in various areas, from the Office of Career Success to undergraduate advising, graduate advising, and the like. And then there's a question about, it seems like a lot of classes fill up fast within Eisenberg. I'm not surprised about that, and you shouldn't be either. We have about 4,200 undergraduates. We've got 1,000 graduate students on the ground and online, if not more. And so our courses are in high demand, but we do service our students. We add sections where we can. One of our biggest constraints, and this is a campus constraint, is space. And so we are also being very creative with hybrid offerings of courses to make sure that we can get students into classes that they want and they need. So we continue to work on this, and we will continue to do this as we go forward into the next year or so. Another question deals with summer classes, and are they online or on the ground? And will campus housing be available? Our Eisenberg courses during the summer are offered online only, because typically we don't see students staying on the Amherst campus in the summer. And so therefore those sections don't fill. And so we, at least right now, are by and large offering everything online during the summer. However, for those of you interested, there is summer housing available to students. You have to be at least 16 years of age, and they need to be enrolled in a UMass summer session of some flavor. It could be not an Eisenberg course as well. And there is an application for summer housing. So your student should know that there is a deadline. And if you go to campus housing on the UMass website, there's more information about summer housing that we don't manage, but there is availability as long as you're enrolled. And Tracy, I'm going to have Tracy come back on, because she's going to tell us a little bit more about our 4+1 master's programs, because we've got a lot of opportunities in that space. And Holly's team, also the Office of Career Success, works with those students on career coaching, placement and internships and the like. But I'm going to turn it over to Tracy to talk a bit about the 4+1 program. Very excited about the growth in that space.
Great. Thank you, Anne. Yes, so the Office of Graduate Programs supports 4 specialized master's programs at this time. So we have the MS in Accounting and MS in Business Analytics, our Master's of Finance degree, and our MS in Sports Management. And these programs are even more accessible to our undergraduate students than ever before. So they're now clearly offered as 4+1 programs. So our undergraduate students, for example, may want to get started on their master's right after they complete their degree, and they can start in their coursework fall, spring, and summer. The coursework is available in most of the programs on campus and online, and very flexible and accessible to these students. And they can apply to quite a few of the programs and get started as a new student summer, fall, or spring. So they don't just have to wait for fall. We recommend that the students apply during their junior or senior year, as that enables them to get started as soon as possible. And they could even take advantage of what we call our accelerated option. So the accelerated option allows students, undergraduate students, to take some graduate courses as they complete their undergraduate degree. Anne mentioned earlier that some of our undergraduates are taking classes in the winter session, and a lot of them are very capable and competent, so they might come in with AP credits and end up having a free slot or 2 or even 3 in their senior year. And so the accelerated option allows them to take up to 4 courses in their senior year, 4 graduate courses in their senior year. And 2 of those courses, up to 2 of them, can double count, meaning that 2 courses could count toward the completion of their undergraduate degree, and 2 could count also toward their graduate degree. So it's efficient. There's cost savings from that perspective because 2 courses can count for both degrees. It actually sets them up nicely for internship opportunities. So let's say, for example, we have a management student as an undergrad, and they're interested in the MS in Business Analytics. So they could start taking some of the analytics courses in their senior year. They could then work toward an internship the summer after they complete their undergraduate degree. And then they can spend fall and spring wrapping up their MS in Business Analytics. So it really sets them up nicely to have a little bit of experience through the courses that they take in their senior year that they can apply in their internship opportunity. And the MS degrees period, in addition to the internship opportunities, really set them up with nice opportunities for long-term career success and more career opportunities. Any questions I can answer about the MS programs that we offer?
Tracy, how do the students do in terms of the job market? What kind of relationships do we have with recruiters in these +1 spaces?
Yeah, so Holly mentioned earlier that we, for example, our accounting students, a large percentage of them pursue the MSA. It's a natural complement for that particular degree because if you're going to sit for the CPA exam, students need to have 150 credits, not just 120. But for the other MS programs, our recruiters hire both our undergraduates and our graduate students. And what we see as far as salary and placement, our undergraduates have outstanding opportunities and a great average salary in the 60s. And what we see is that students typically bring that up another 10, say on average between their undergraduate degree in Eisenberg and say an MS in Eisenberg. And some of them bring it up a lot more than that. They really benefit from that additional coursework and expertise, marketable skills that they get in our MS programs. So it's a really nice partnership between our undergraduate and our graduate degrees, and our recruiters are very aware of our programs, and we're seeing great success for our students who decide to stay with us and wrap up that graduate degree while they're with us in Amherst.
And Tracy, you run, and I think it's information available on our website, a number of information sessions about the +1 programs that students or if families that are interested could sign up for and learn more about. Is that correct?
Yes, I'll share that in the chat. We have information sessions running regularly on all of our specialized master's programs and how the 4+1 and accelerated options work.
That's
Happy
great.
to share that. Right.
That's great. Yeah, we're very proud of those programs, and Tracy didn't say it, but we were recently ranked. Our +1 programs did very well in recent rankings, and so we're very proud of that, and much of it. A big shout out to Tracy and her team and graduate programs for all their work and effort there. It's really, and then Holly and her team support from the Career Success Office. So thank you.
Great.
So I saw a question in the chat that's a little bit related. There was a question about Eisenberg undergraduates and double majoring. And you may or may not be aware the HTM and the sport management degrees are BS degrees, whereas accounting, finance, marketing, and the like are BBA degrees. And so because of restrictions, these are not ours. A student that double majors, you can do a BBA and a BS. And so we do see quite a number of students do a double major with HTM with something else, or sport with something else. Sport management, for example, we get a lot of students double major in sport management and marketing. HTM and OIM, they do operations. So we see these double majors for students that are very interested. They may be interested in the industry. And as was mentioned earlier, we have some students that are really quite go-getters and they're able to pull off a double major. So those double majors, and then as Holly pointed out, or as Tracy pointed out, a number of students now are finishing up their undergraduate and maybe accelerating directly into one of our +1 programs. So they're taking full advantage of the academic offerings available to them. So we're very excited about that. And another opportunity that is available to students that we received a number of questions about was about study abroad. And so I think, Allison, I think you were going to share in the chat a link to some full information about studying abroad. But a number of parents asked about these programs. And I want to thank our colleague, Susan Carey. She's a senior academic advisor in our undergraduate programs office for helping put some information together about these. And so it was an eye-opener for me as well to learn more about some of the things that's going on in the study abroad area. Allison, thank you for putting that link there. For the past several years, Eisenberg on the UMass Amherst campus has been the #1 school in terms of sending students abroad across all academic units on campus. We have currently 233 Eisenberg undergraduates studying abroad in spring 23. And we do have in our undergraduate programs office an Eisenberg Study Abroad Basics. This is a workshop, and I saw it advertised several times last fall in our big screens in the building. This is available to students. And again, if your student is interested in studying abroad, please encourage them to sign up for one of these workshops, because a live workshop goes over all sorts of frequently asked questions for these students. And it's really the first step that they should engage in if they're interested. There's no one size fits all for the study abroad programs. Students, in fact, can go after their first year if they want to. They're not necessarily designed for junior year students. We also have short-term programs. We have a winter term program that includes, for example, I think it's a 5-week program, business in Italy. A number of our students are in Italy right now in that winter term program. We have after spring semester, we have a global citizen South Africa internship and service trip, and a couple of faculty will be going with those students on that trip. And we have a number of other programs in London, Paris, and Verona and Seville. In fact, I was in London on university business late last fall and was able to meet with a number of Eisenberg students who were finishing up their fall semester that they were doing at Oxford, and they were just raving about it. They had a wonderful experience. We also have, the university is now also offering a first semester for first-year students, a semester in London. And I was able to meet with 4 Eisenberg students. They've not even set foot on the Amherst campus, and they spent their fall semester in London, and they'll be coming back to join us again here in February. So they are having a wonderful experience. So there's a number of programs, and I think this link here will help provide some information. And I will say, one question was asked is, how does it fit into a student completing their Eisenberg requirements for their Eisenberg degree? Again, we do a couple things. One is, one of our advisors has to sit down with the student and sign off on the courses that they've registered for their semester abroad. There's a form that they complete, and we work with them just to make sure that that they're doing what they need to do, that all the coursework comes back and is obviously transferable. We work with a number of international partners. And in terms of where do they go, I've just looked at the numbers, but I think right now, Italy, Spain, and Australia are the top 3 destinations, but we have a number of pre-approved programs and courses, and that helps make it planning very easy for students. They oftentimes travel in packs. They have, go with 3 or 4 friends and whatever, and they go to a location such as Italy or Spain that they're particularly interested in. So it's really a wonderful opportunity for students. And by the way, we have also, and again, I also, we talked about thanking a number of our alumni and donors who have supported our efforts in the Office of Career Success, our iConnect, iSucceed, our Career Peers program, as that Holly described. We also want to thank a number of our donors and alumni who are giving to our priority of creating global citizens and inclusive leaders. And a number of donors have given in this space. The Hankowskis, for example, if they're on this call, thank you very much. Because as you might imagine, many of our students do not have the financial wherewithal to do a semester abroad or even a winter term abroad. And so many of our donors and alumni are stepping up and contributing to that priority. And we are using that money for scholarship dollars to offset the cost that the students, the differential cost that students incur if they go for a semester or a winter term, or even go, we have a number of students going on the South Africa trip. So again, thank you. That really goes directly into students, and they apply for those resources, and we try to support as many students as possible with those resources. So thank you very much in that regard. I received a few in our last few minutes here, and I know I'm thanking Holly and Tracy and Allison for answering some questions in the chat as best we can. But I will try to address a couple other questions that did come in before we started. One of which is cybersecurity training integrated into business school curriculum. And Tracy was kind enough to answer that for me. We do have a cybersecurity risk management course in our graduate program. And we do not currently have within Eisenberg undergraduate offerings, but our undergraduate students do have access to courses in CICS, our School of Information and Computer Science. And we're working with them, and we're trying to see what else we can do in that space. But the graduate course addresses cybersecurity and cyber risks in organizations. Couple questions here deal with our priorities. My priorities are for Eisenberg this coming year. I think we've talked a great deal today about our priority of enabling career and academic success for our students. We've talked about, creating global citizens and the overseas opportunities, among other things. But, a couple of things I will say in terms of our priorities, as we look forward within Eisenberg, what really drives our reputation is the human talent that we have. And that's the talent of our students, acquiring and attracting exceptional students. We work really hard on that. Scholarship dollars is really important. And again, thanks to alumni and donors who support us and that in turn then support our students. A talent acquisition with our faculty. We continue to seek to hire and retain the best faculty, both in terms of their research expertise and obviously their teaching expertise, and investing in our faculty in those spaces and developing our teaching and learning environments and the expertise of our faculty continues and must be a priority. You know, innovation in teaching and learning, innovation in research, innovation in our academic programs, innovation in our use of technology, some of which you heard today. This is our priority, and this is what we really are about. And this is how we maintain our reputation, both nationally and internationally, and stand among the best business schools. So, you know, people ask me, and one of the questions that came in is what's my ultimate goal for Eisenberg? You know, when we talk about how do we sustain and advance our reputation for excellence in all we do, I ask that question every day. I ask that question every day of our faculty, of our administrators and our staff, and frankly, of our students, because they contribute to answering that question. For those of you who aren't familiar, and I'm going to put this back on Allison, I mentioned earlier, we have our new strategic plan was unveiled late last fall. It's called Roadmap 2027. We are about being a destination of choice for faculty, for staff, for students. We want to be a community that is inclusive. And Roadmap 2027 lays out our key goals and how the priorities that we've been really focused on over the last few years, how those priorities really drive our success in and around those goals. So stay tuned. Allison and her team in Marcom, where they're developing, working on an interactive website that will have more and more information about Roadmap 2027. We had some highlights of it in our annual report, but I know we're very excited about it, and we'll be continuing to share more and more about that as we go forward. So we have a lot going on. We had over 240 attendees today, so that's very encouraging to me. That shows that our parents, our alumni, our friends are interested in what's going on. And I hope that we've gotten you excited, as I hope that you feel the excitement that we've tried to share today. I'm excited. As I always say, I drank the Kool-Aid. I know Tracy has, Holly has, Allison, and the rest of the team. Eisenberg is a special place to be. And we're very excited, and we're very excited that the students are coming back. This has been a long winter term, so we'll be very excited to have them back on campus and in Eisenberg and in the hub. So thanks, everybody. I want to thank Holly, Tracy, Allison for your team support. Shannon Petrin, who you didn't see. Shannon was a key coordinator back here. Lots goes into this. And thanks again to everybody that joined us today, and all our alumni and friends and parents who give so much to make Eisenberg such a special place. Have a great rest of the afternoon, and we'll be back in touch very soon. Thank you.